Hey guys, today I'm gonna be reacting to scary animations because why not? I like watching scary animations. Plus, I want to change my channel so it was just Geometry Dash videos, gaming. I want to do some reactions and stuff. So yeah, alright. Today our first video is my stepdad was totally crazy psycho.
My mom used to work as a taxi driver, and she started to go out with one of her coworkers. Let's
No.
call him Larry for the sake of the story. He seemed like a nice guy at first. Finally, they got married and had a daughter, and we will call her Ruby. But once they got married, things started to change immediately. He was not a nice guy after all. If something didn't go his way, he always
What the frick? What is this?
ran to his mom's house. Because in her mind, he was still her baby, even though he was a 50-year-old man. He was such a mama's boy. Mom and Larry would break up and make up a lot, so that was just normal behavior. But when he got drunk, sometimes
Uh-oh, you know when you get drunk. Oh yeah.
we didn't let him inside the house as he can become a violent person.
Oh no.
He'd break in by smashing a window to get
Jesus Christ, this man is psycho.
in on occasion. Well, he would not hurt us, but broke things like a TV or a family member's computer, which made us terrified. The final straw was when he came into our house one day. He kidnapped Ruby and ran away for 2 days until the police arrested him and brought Ruby back home, even though Larry was her dad. Mom was literally traumatized by this incident. We decided to move out of our house, and it was a great idea to move away from him at a safe distance. We had none of his belongings, so he had no reason to come crawling back to us. So we moved out, and as time went by, we settled into the new house. We all started school, and I always woke up extra.
Why are you waking up at 4 freaking a.m.? Why are you waking up at 4 freaking a.m.?
Early to shower and play video games before I went to school.
Same, I would usually wake up at 2 in the morning, take a shower and play video games for like 7 hours. Alright.
But this one day, when I woke up at 4 a.m. and finished taking a shower, I came out of the bathroom and looked out of the window unintentionally. It was still dark, and there was a man who was walking up and down the path by the side of our house. Suddenly, he looked up and stared at me. He realized that I saw him. I stood there and did nothing. Then he walked away and stood under the streetlight. It was Larry. He had the most malevolent smile I've ever seen. He came over to the mailbox saying that he was sorry. He said that he wanted to talk to my mom so they could start over again. I ran to Mom and woke her up, but we decided to call the police instead of letting him inside. About 10 minutes later, the police came to arrest him. They found out that he drove a car while drunk and left it halfway up the road. And when they searched him, he had a surgical scalpel in his pocket.
Oh, frick, no way. This guy's, look at this.
They found out that he drove a car while drunk and left it halfway up the road. And when they
He is psycho, look at his face.
searched him, he had a surgical scalpel in his pocket. He told the police that it was just a joke, but no one believed him.
Uh-oh. Now we're gonna react to... I'm trying to find scary stories. Right, true scary hide and seek in the...
The payment's due, Chan.
Please.
Alright, true scary... I just seen... if there's any scary videos. I want to do this one instead. I went in the wrong right and almost got killed.
This is not about my story, but someone from my church, and he wanted to share his experience with anyone else. He's a 32-year-old man, and his pseudo name is Mark. He's a fairly big guy, and this situation took place when he was on his way home from work. He said that he had lost his phone 1 week before this whole situation happened, so he couldn't call and get any help during the story. It was quite late, around 11 p.m. He had finished work and was walking to a taxi stop location, and when he got there, a few people were standing around waiting as well. After about 2 minutes, he noticed a glitching. Usually, minivans are cheaper than taxis, and he felt tired that day, so he decided to take the minivan. He sat on a seat, and there was a young boy seated in the passenger side next to the driver, who was collecting the fare. And then, 2 other boys who looked like teenagers also boarded the minivan and sat in the seats in front of him. Once the minivan took off, after about 5 minutes...
What was that? My phone really just glitched out. Sorry for that.
The boy asked if they would like to drink some coke. They accepted and started drinking. And they also gave it to Mark. Mark was also feeling thirsty, so he took it, but only a sip. Not much later, he started feeling drowsy. Just before he about laid his head on the seat beside him, he noticed that those 2 boys were already knocked out. After he laid his head down, he heard noises coming from the back seats. 2 people were talking in a different language. The car was passing a big signboard that showed Crest Chicken Farm. And then he finally passed out. When he got up, he found himself inside a big shed-like barn, and there were some tools on a big table. He was on the floor, and the other 2 teenage boys were laying next to him. He still felt a bit drowsy, but he managed to get himself up as he was looking for an escape. He saw that the 2 boys were still passed out, so he tried waking them, but they wouldn't budge. As Mark was kind of a big man, he tried to see if he could carry one of them, but it was hard to do because even Mark was having a hard time to stand properly. And then, he heard voices. He took a peek from the door, and 3 people were walking toward the big shed, coming from a house on the hill, which was quite close to the shed. Mark panicked and tried to look for another exit. He was looking around the place, and he found one at the end of the shed, luckily. He approached quietly and escaped as fast as he could. At this point, his vision was all blurry, but he managed to find a fence door and unlocked it. He heard the people shouting, but he ignored. He just kept on running. When he finally reached his house, it was early morning, around 5 a.m. His wife was up all night waiting for him and ran out the front door as soon as she saw him. He collapsed and slept for almost the whole day. When he woke up and finally got a chance to explain to his wife what had transpired that night, he remembered about the other 2 boys who were still there. Then he contacted the police immediately. He told the police about the road signs and a big billboard for Crest Chicken Farm and other things that he could remember. About 2 weeks after, there was a police report about how they found 2 teenage boys' bodies in a lake, and advised that when they examined the bodies, all their organs were missing.
No way. What the frick? If I see a boy and a 50-year-old man, I'm like, no. Punch them in the freaking head, knock them out, steal the car, and drive home.
Mark just stood in fear. And as the event was too traumatic for him, Mark had to quit a job for a while.
Wow. So, yeah guys, hope you enjoyed this video even though I reacted to 2 stories. I want to make more videos on reacting.